These are Alabama's serial killers. Nanny Doss. Between 1927 and 1954, she caused the deaths of 11 people. Doss was also known as Lady Bluebeard, the Black Widow, the Lonely Hearts Killer, and the Giggling Granny. It was discovered that she had murdered a mother-in-law, two grandchildren, one of her sisters, four husbands, and two children. Nanny was born on November 4, 1905. She had three sisters and one brother. James, Nanny's father, was an aggressive and domineering husband and parent, and both her mother and Nanny detested him. Nanny's academic performance suffered as a result of James' refusal to allow his children to attend school and instead forcing them to work on the family farm. Nanny was 7 years old when the train suddenly halted and she struck her head on a metal bar on the seat in front of her while traveling with her family to see relatives in southern Alabama. She experienced terrible depression, blackouts, and migraines for years following that. She attributed the accident on these and her mental instability. Growing up, she loved to read her mother's romance magazines and fantasize about her own romantic destiny. The column on Lonely Hearts was also her favorite feature. Because he thought it would keep them safe, Nanny's father prohibited his daughters from wearing makeup and fancy clothes. He also forbade them from attending social gatherings like dances. Charlie Braggs, Nanny's co-worker in a linen mill, was her first husband when she was 16 years old. After 4 months of courtship, they were married with her father's blessing. Being the only child of a single mother, Braggs insisted on staying with him after he got married. Nanny's activities were restricted and Braggs' mother occupied a lot of his time. From 1923 until 1927, the marriage produced 4 daughters. Nanny's casual smoking habit turned into a serious addiction, and she began drinking as a result of her stress. Infidelity was rightly suspected by both unhappy partners, and Braggs frequently went missing for days at a time. Due to suspected food poisoning, the couple lost both of their middle girls in 1927. Shortly after, Braggs left infant Florine behind and grabbed Melvina, their firstborn daughter, and left. Nanny got a job at a cotton mill to support herself and Florine after Braggs's mother passed away not long after. In the summer of 1928, Braggs returned with Melvina and another woman that brought her own child along. After a fast divorce, Nanny returned to her mother's house with their 2 daughters. Braggs said he had to divorce her because he was terrified of her. Robert Franklin Harrelson was her second husband. In 1929, they were married pretty soon after meeting. They shared a Jacksonville home with Melvina and Florine. She learned after a few months that he had a criminal history of assault and was an alcoholic. The marriage lasted for 16 years. In 1943, Melvina gave birth to Robert Lee Haynes. A second kid was born 2 years later, but he passed away shortly after. Tired from giving birth and dazed from ether, Melvina believes she saw her visiting mother insert a hat pin into the infant's head. She questioned her sister and husband about it, and they remembered that she was indeed holding a pin. They said that Nanny had informed them the baby was dead. The doctors, however, were unable to provide an adequate reason for why the infant didn't make it. After grieving parents drifted apart, Melvina began dating a soldier. Melvina's son Robert died inexplicably in Nanny's care on July 7, 1945, while she was visiting her father following a particularly ugly argument with her mother. Nanny disapproved of the soldier Melvina was seeing. Nanny collected the $500 life insurance she had purchased on Robert 2 months after the death that was determined to be suffocation from unidentified causes. Harrelson essayed Nanny in 1945. She laced Harrelson's corn whiskey jug with rat poison the following day, and he passed away that same evening. While traveling in Lexington, North Carolina, Nanny met her third husband, Arlie Lanning, through another Lonely Hearts column. 3 days later, they were married. Lanning was an alcoholic womanizer, same as Harrelson, but in this marriage, Nanny was the one who frequently vanished for months at a time. However, she portrayed herself as a devoted housewife when she was at home, and the town's residents helped her attend his funeral after he passed away from what was allegedly heart failure. After Lanning's mother passed away in her sleep, Nanny took the insurance money and promptly banked it. She then fled North Carolina and ended up at her sister's Dovie's house. Dovie was bedridden and passed away shortly after Nanny arrived. Nanny joined the Diamond Circle Club dating service in search of another husband, and she quickly met Richard L. Morton of Jamestown, North Carolina. In 1952, they tied the knot in Emporia, Kansas. He was unfaithful but did not have a drinking problem. When she moved in with them in January 1953, she poisoned her mother, Louisa, then she poisoned him. On May 19, 1953, 3 months later, Morton passed away. In June 1953, Nanny wed Samuel Doss from Tulsa, Oklahoma. In Carroll County, Arkansas, Doss, a Nazarene minister, lost his family in a tornado. Nanny loved romantic novels and stories, which Samuel criticized of. He was hospitalized in September due to flu-like symptoms. A serious digestive tract infection was identified by the hospital. On October 5, he received treatment and was sent home. In 1954, Samuel passed away on October 12. That night, in her haste to get the 2 life insurance policies she had purchased on him, Nanny killed him. His doctor became aware of this unexpected death and requested an autopsy. He had a significant level of arsenic in his system. Nanny was taken into custody right away. Doss admitted to killing her mother, sister, grandchild, mother-in-law, and 4 of her husbands. Samuel Doss was the only focus of the Oklahoma State's case. J. Howard Edmondson, who went on to become the governor of Oklahoma, was the prosecutor of Nanny Doss. On May 17, 1955, she entered the guilty plea and was given a life sentence. Because she was a woman, the state chose not to pursue the capital penalty. She was never charged with the other deaths. In 1965, she passed away in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary sick unit from leukemia. Rhonda Bell Martin. She was a family annihilator who was put to death by the state of Alabama for killing her 4th husband, Claude Carroll Martin, in 1951. She was charged of poisoning and killing her own mother and 5 of her 7 children, all of whom were under the age of 12 when they perished, using rat poison as her means of murder. Ronald Martin, her 5th husband and former stepson, was the only one of her victims known to have survived. She eventually denied her involvement in the killings of 2 of her children, despite having at first admitted to all of the killings she was charged with. James Robert and Mary Frances Tomley were the parents of Rhonda Bell Tomley, who was born in Alabama in 1907. She was a waitress before she was arrested. She admitted to poisoning her mother, 2 husbands, and 3 of her children in March 1956. She denied murdering any other children. She enjoyed receiving the Get Well sympathy cards that were sent after the victims passed away. She made sure they were buried in a private plot side by side. Ronald Martin, her 5th spouse and the son of Claude Carroll Martin, was poisoned like the others. He was once her stepson. He survived but became paraplegic. Authorities began investigating Martin's unusual deaths because of his medical condition. Prosecutors claimed that she went on a murdering rampage because she was collecting insurance payments, but this is implausible because she only received enough to pay for funeral expenses, and she never admitted to this anyway. In March 1956, Martin was taken into custody. Prison officials typically kept her scheduled execution dates a secret from her until they were very close because of her heart problems. During Martin's 2-hour clemency hearing the day before her execution, her defense lawyer made an unsuccessful bid to halt the execution on the grounds that Martin's sanity had not been sufficiently examined. She remained in the Jefferson County Jail until late May 1957, when she was moved to Kilby Prison, home of Alabama's electric chair, because her execution was scheduled for May 31. She was transferred to the Julia Tutwiler prison for women after the execution date was rescheduled. She remained there until about 4 hours prior to her execution, at which point she was returned to Kilby Prison. Martin's final meal was a cheeseburger, mashed potatoes, cinnamon buns, and coffee 7 hours before she was put to death. With a Bible in her hand, Martin was escorted to Alabama's electric chair on October 11, 1957. At her execution, she reportedly recited the 23rd Psalm with the prison chaplain while remaining composed and silently crying. She refused to say any last words. Martin's execution had a minor incident before she was shocked for the first time because her executioners threw the switch that turned on the power before the electrodes were prepared. Before authorities could carry out Martin's execution, she had to wait a few minutes for the electric cycle to be completed. Martin had stated in 1956 that she wanted her remains transported to an unnamed scientific institution for autopsy so that researchers may examine her and determine the reason behind her acts. Prison officials discovered a note expressing a similar sentiment after she was executed. Her body was given to family members in a Montgomery funeral home following her execution. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.